On a night shift at a food processing plant, a worker was critically injured while cleaning a machine. Just 2 weeks earlier, the company was already in trouble for not following lockout tagout procedure. This case shows why lockout tagout or LOTO isn't just a safety guideline. It's a critical procedure to prevent serious injuries. And yet incidents like this keep happening. This time it cost the company 1.9 million in fines. But more importantly, it changed a workers' lives forever. So today we will walk you through the 7 essential steps of lockout tagout, steps that protect workers and also frequently appears in key OHS exams like NEBOSH, CSP and CRSP. Understanding this can make a difference not only in your career but in your workplace safety across industries. Hello health and safety professionals. My name is Roshan Rajas and I have over 15 years of experience in health and safety. I am certified safety professional, CSP, then CRSP, Canadian Registered Safety Professional as well, and chartered member of IOSH and qualified trainer and assessor. So on this channel, we simplify complex workplace safety topics into practical and easy to follow steps, empowering you to create a safer and healthier work environment. Whether you are an experienced professional or just starting out, our mission is to equip you with the knowledge and tools to enhance safety in your workplace. And if you're preparing for IOSH, NEBOSH, CSP or CRSP exams, you are in the right place. These videos are designed to support your success. So in today's video, we are going to cover the 7 essential steps to proper lockout tagout. It's called LOTO procedure as well. So we'll walk through each step, ensure you're understanding how to safely control hazardous energy during maintenance. And we'll also talk about some real life case studies. And then we'll break down recent OSHA investigation to see how skipping LOTO steps can lead to serious consequences. And then we'll go to some frequently asked questions. We'll answer some of the most common questions on LOTO. So we will leave with a clear understanding of the process and its importance. So this 7 step of LOTO can be difference between life and death in industrial settings. But what happened when these steps are ignored?
A worker has been critically injured at a local food processing plant. OSHA is currently investigating the incident.
That's exactly what happened in tragic case at food processing plant in Ohio. A 29-year-old worker lost his leg because the company didn't train him to lock out the machine properly. This wasn't an isolated incident. OSHA had warned the company just 2 weeks before. So in lockout tagout procedure, we follow following 7 steps. So let's see 7 steps of lockout tagout. Some people call it lockout tagout, test out, LOTO as well. So what are the 7 steps? Let's look at one by one. So step 1 is preparing for shutdown. Preparing for shutdown. In step 2, what we do, so in step 1 we prepare for shutdown by understanding your equipment energy sources. In step 2 you do shutting down and isolating energy. So shutting down and isolating energy. So what we do in this step is basically we ensure the machine is fully powered down and isolated, right? After this we go to step 3, which is applying lockout tagout device. So apply lockout tagout device. Okay, so this we do basically This is the important step, right? So the importance of securing equipment to prevent any accidental starts. So that's what we do it for. Next step is step 4, which is releasing stored energy. Right? So by safely removing any residual energy which is left in the system. This is what we do in this. We will look at each step in detail. We are just listing down these steps. So now step number 5 is of verifying this isolation. So verifying isolation. Right? So in step 5 of verifying isolation, we do testing that the equipment is fully isolated and can't be turned back on, right? After this, step 6 is performing maintenance, right? So in this step, what we do is we perform the maintenance, working safely once all energy sources are lockout tagout, right? And the last step is step 7 of removing lockout tagout. So removing LOTO. So this is how in the last step basically we safely restore the machine back to operation, right? So this is how the 7th step of lockout tagout works, which we will look in detail now. So let's start with step 1, right? Step 1 of preparing for shutdown. So the first step in any LOTO process is preparation. So before shutting down the equipment, you need to identify all hazardous energy sources. And when we talk about locking out energy, we don't just mean electricity, right? So there are different types of energy that can power machines. For example, electrical energy. This is when machine is plugged into an outlet or connected to a power supply. Think about a conveyor belt that runs on electricity. So before doing any maintenance, you would need to disconnect it from its power source, right? The other energy source could be hydraulic energy. So hydraulic energy, some machines use pressurized liquid like oil or water to operate. Imagine a big lift that raises heavy material before working on it, right? So you need to release the pressure from hydraulic system. The other energy that we should be aware of is like pneumatic energy. So this is when a machine uses air pressure to function. For example, machine that uses compressed air to power its parts, right? You need to make sure no air is left in the system before starting any maintenance, right? Then there is also a mechanical energy. So this can include part of the machine that move because of tension, right? Like springs or gears. If the machine is off, these parts can still move unexpectedly if not secured properly, right? So that's why you need to understand all these sources of energy that you have to take care of in the process of lockout tagout. So in our Ohio case study, this preparation was completely ignored. The worker didn't know that the industrial blender he was cleaning was still connected to an energy source, and one small oversight led to a devastating consequence. Now let's move to step 2. Step 2 is on shutting down and isolating the energy sources. So once you have identified the sources, you need to shut the equipment down using normal procedures, but it doesn't stop there. You also have to isolate these energy sources, pull the plugs, turn off the valve, disconnect the pneumatic lines, whatever it takes to ensure that no power reaches the equipment. So in our case study, isolation was skipped, and that's why the machine augers continued to move when the worker began cleaning. Always confirm the isolation before proceeding. In step 3, we have to apply lockout tagout devices. So lockout tagout is all about making sure no one can accidentally reactivate the machine. You need to attach a lock to each energy isolation point and place a tag explaining why the machine is locked out and who is responsible. In the Ohio case, this was a critical failure. The company had not trained its worker to apply the locks, and so the augers kept moving even though the machine was technically off. Let's move to next step, that is step 4, release restrained stored energy. So don't forget that even when a machine is off, there could be stored energy left inside. Think of a spring under tension or a hydraulic line full of pressure. You need to either release or block the stored energy. In the case study, stored mechanical energy from the augers was still active, and it's one of the reasons the workers suffered such severe injuries. Now let's move to the next step of verifying the isolation. So this might be the most important step. A test to ensure the machine is truly off. Try to operate the controls and check if there is any movement. So in the case study, this simple verification could have saved a leg or even a life. So in step 6, we perform maintenance or servicing, right? So once you are certain the machine is isolated, you can now start actual work. Just make sure everyone involved knows the lockout procedure and what to do if they spot an issue. And the last step after that is step 7, remove lockout tagout devices. Only the person who applied the lock should be the one to remove it. After confirming that everyone is clear, remove the lockout device and restart the equipment properly. The tragedy in Ohio could have been avoided, and this simple procedure had been followed. The workers' injuries were preventable, and the company is now facing over $1.9 million in fines. Now, how can you apply these steps in your workplace? First, always prepare for shutdown and isolate those energy sources. Next, make sure your entire team is trained to use lockout tagout devices correctly. So we have created a step-by-step guide for you to download from our website called vocationalsafety.com. You can find the link in the description below. Please have a look. Now let's go to our next section of quick fire, where we'll answer some frequently asked questions. Question 1 goes like, what if the equipment has multiple energy sources? How do you handle that lockout tagout? So when dealing with machines that have multiple energy sources like electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, mechanical, you need to isolate each one separately, and each energy source should have its own lockout point. For example, an industrial press might run on both electricity and compressed air, right? In this case, you need to turn off the electrical power, depressurize the air system, and lock out both the sources. You should also follow the manufacturer's energy control procedure to make sure that all sources are covered. And if a worker forgets to remove their lockout tagout after maintenance, can someone else remove it? That's our next question. The answer is absolutely not. Only the person who placed the lock and tag is allowed to remove it. This is a critical safety rule. If someone else removes the lock, they might not be aware of the hazard, and it could lead to an accident. If the worker is unavailable, for example, they left for the day, then the supervisor must follow strict procedure, which includes verifying that the worker is not on site and ensuring the equipment is safe to re-energize. Now let's move to the question number 3, that what happens if piece of equipment cannot physically be locked out, such as with older machines, right? Old machinery does not have it. Then in such cases where machine cannot be physically locked out due to its design, OSHA and other regulation allows for the use of a tagout system. However, but tagout alone is less secure than lockout. So additional safety measures should be taken. For instance, extra procedures such as removing any key component, disconnecting power sources, or manually if you can disconnect it, or having a secondary level of supervision might be necessary to ensure the machine stays de-energized during maintenance. Next question is on how often do lockout tagout procedure need to be reviewed or updated. LOTO procedure should be reviewed at least annually. It can be updated maybe as per requirements, such as whenever there is a change in machinery new energy sources or updated operational procedure. For example, if a machine is upgraded, right, with the new technology, or if new workers are brought in who aren't familiar with the procedure, the LOTO system must be revised to ensure it's still effective and meets all current safety standards. Next question is on, can contractor or third party workers follow their own LOTO procedure, or must they follow facility procedures, right? So contractors and third party workers must always follow the facility lockout tagout procedures, even if they have their own guidelines. Host employer procedures take priority because the equipment, energy sources, and safety systems are specific to that workplace. For example, a contractor working on factory conveyor system must coordinate with the facility safety team to ensure they are locking out the same energy sources as the rest of the staff. So lockout tagout is not just a procedure, it's a life-saving system. Don't become another case study like the Ohio worker which we discussed, whose life was forever changed because these steps were ignored. Ensure your team is trained, your equipment is isolated, and every lockout tagout step is followed. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more life-saving tips. Check out the links below for more machine safety, and also don't forget to visit our website Vocational Safety for more health and safety related topics. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe.